Hi, I'm Andy. Welcome back to my channel, and this is your October rundown of the UK's best credit cards. And when I say best credit cards, what I mean are the ones with the best promotions right now. So if you're looking for a balance transfer, what's the longest one you can get? What's the lowest fee you can get? If you're looking for cashback, what's the most you're going to be able to get on that? If you're looking to spend overseas, really probably unlikely right now, but what's the one that's going to charge you the least amount of money on your transactions? So that's what this is a rundown of those best credit cards in that kind of scenario. That's how I'm framing best. Now, to do this, I'm going to be referring to the article that I've got over on the blog. This is a kind of thing that I update on a regular basis, at least when I do this video, but probably on it whenever a big deal changes. That's the one to go to just to make sure things haven't changed. And obviously, when you click through, check those terms and conditions just to make sure they haven't increased a fee, dropped a rate, made something a shorter amount of time, you get a 0% period, all that kind of stuff. You've got to make sure you do that kind of thing. And most importantly, you really, and I can't stress this enough, right? I say this every month. The most important thing you can do here is to ensure that you can afford to use a credit card. If you think you're getting a credit card because, I fancy something like this, or it's Christmas coming up, a lot of people thinking Christmas, expensive time of year, I'll put it on the credit card, deal with it later. No, that is not a solution. You need to make sure you want to avoid paying any interest on it at all. I'm not going to tell you any of the interest rates on these cards because I don't want you to be paying interest. I'm not going to encourage you to get a credit card just for the sake of it. These have specific reasons you've got these cards, okay? So if you can't afford it, don't get one. If you're struggling and that's why you're thinking about a credit card, go and try and get help somewhere else. Fantastic debt charities like Step Change, like National Debt Line, like Citizens Advice Bureau. Talk to those people, see if you can get support. Find out if you can, other ways you can kind of afford the things you need to buy. And if it's an essential and you're trying to put that on a credit card, again, talk to those people, okay? So that's it. That's the most important thing, first of all. Below that, the second most important thing to say, with all of these cards, when you apply for them, don't just go to the card provider, American Express, Santander, whoever it might be, and click apply. Make sure you're going via an eligibility checker first of all. Now, a lot of these credit card companies will have that. They have that option on their website. It's basically what's called a soft check on your credit report. So it won't be a full analysis. It won't be like a guarantee you'll get this, but you'll get in response an idea of whether you are, how likely you are to get this card. So it could be quite high, could be quite low. If it's quite low, then you're probably better off not applying for it and looking for one with a better chance of acceptance. And that's why these are so important, because if you do get rejected for one of these cards, it will hit your credit score. And that will make it much more difficult for you to get another card or apply for a loan or mortgage or any kind of thing where your credit score comes into play. So you want to avoid any of those cards that might reject you. So always do that. Always do it if you can. I will mention a couple of cards here where there is no soft check, either directly with the bank or via a comparison site, which is a bit frustrating. So really only go for those if you're confident that your credit score is pretty high. And you can check those ones for free to get an idea. It's no guarantee, but it's better than just going into it blind. So let's get into it. As I said, I'm going to use my article over on the blog to kind of help us frame this conversation. And what I've got here is all those cards I'm going to talk to you about right now. There will be a link through and a little bit more information. But let's start off with balance transfers, as I always do, because this is one of the kind of the good things a credit card can do if you've got yourself into credit card debt. I say don't have a credit card if you can't afford it, but this can maybe make your debt a little bit more affordable. And that's because when you transfer the money over to a 0% balance transfer credit card, that 0% means no interest is added. So all you've got to pay every single month is that debt that you owe. No extra interest is being added each time to make it more expensive. Now, ideally, you want to be paying as much as you can every month. And let's say you've got a 0% balance transfer card for 20 months. You want to divide your debt by 20 and make that payment every month so it is clear by the time you get to that end period. If you can't, make at least the minimum repayment though, because if you don't do that, you'll lose that 0% period. But you don't want to just delay repaying this debt. These are designed to help you clear them. So there can be good things, okay? There are good things. Now, there are a few ways of getting them. One of them, and often if you've got the longer period in order to have that 0% period, you're going to pay a fee. The best ones right now are just under 3%. They'll give you TSB's Platinum Balance Transfer Card, 2.95% fee, and they will give you potentially 29 months. If you don't get 29 months, you'll get 26 or 23 months, so up to. So that is the longest you could potentially get at 29. However, although it's the longest one, it's not my top pick because there is no eligibility checker for that. And as I say, you might not get the full 29 months. For a guaranteed 28 months, look at M&S Bank. 2.85% fee on that, so that's lower. If you're with First Direct, already a customer with them, you can get 27 months at 2.29%. There are obviously other ones you can look at with slightly lower or sort of, lower fees and slightly shorter amount of time. You need to work out what's best for you and your debt, but you do have to pay that fee on the money you transfer over. Still roughly going to be less than what you're paying in interest. In most instances, it's going to be a lot less, in fact. Now, there are cards which charge no fee at all for that transfer. Really cheap. Trade-off is you don't get as long a time at 0%. The best one of those, again this month, is from Santander, and their everyday credit card will give you 18 months at 0%. So again, do an eligibility checker for that or any of the others, give you an idea of how successful you're going to be getting it. And if you are successful, you get it, that is debt-free, interest-free debt for a certain amount of time. So that's your balance transfers. Again, go to comparison sites if you have a look, and you'll see a sort of a broader sense of which cards are available to you and all the different chances, but they're the best ones. Now, still talking about 0% is that purchase credit card, the 0% purchase credit card. Works very similarly. Basically what you do, anything you spend on that card for a certain amount of time, no interest is charged. So that balance can stay there and it can mount up. Now that's a dangerous thing, particularly when we think about Christmas spending on the horizon, Black Friday and all of that. If you're just putting all your money on there and think, oh, I'll worry about it later, I'll worry about it later. Later is going to come at some point. Even if the best card here I'll tell you about at the moment has got 20 months interest free. You don't want to be just sort of paying the minimum every month and then get to that big debt at the end. You want to be clearing it as much as you can. Really, these aren't for someone if you can't afford stuff, just like, oh, I'll deal with it later. These are better, and I think personally, they're the best ones to go for if you've got a big purchase you need to get and spreading that cost out. So it could be the new iPhones, which will be coming out later this month. It could be because you need a new sofa or a new washing machine, whatever it is. That's when these come into play. Spread that cost out over a decent amount of time at 0%. But again, make sure you clear it before that 0% period ends and interest starts getting added, because it'd be quite expensive, okay, if you don't do that. Top two, well, there's TSB again, but as I mentioned, you don't have an eligibility checker there, so it's a bit risky. M&S Bank again, and you get a £5 voucher to use at M&S when you successfully open that card. So there's a little bit extra on the back of that. Sainsbury's has a deal now. If you are a Nectar card customer, and again, it's free to get that, so it's not an issue really for most people. And as long as you're not self-employed and you do your shopping at Sainsbury's on a regular basis, you might want to look at their one. Again, that will give you a decent amount of time, I think 20 months again, although you might not get the full amount. It might be reduced to 16 or 12 months. But if you shop at Sainsbury's in the first 2 months and every time you spend £35, or at least the first 10 times you spend £35 at Sainsbury's, you'll get some bonus Nectar points, 750 points. If you do that all 10 times in that first 2 months, it's worth £37.50 in Nectar points. So if you're regularly shopping there and you go there quite often, worth checking that out. And the last of these 0% cards is a money transfer card. Now, this is something where rather than transfer it from a credit card to a credit card or a balance transfer, you're transferring the money from your credit card, your new money transfer credit card, to your bank account. And then when it's in your bank account, you can use it for whatever you want. These are really useful for clearing things like store debts or overdrafts. Overdrafts so expensive right now. Check out the video I've got on that if you have one of those, because they will be charging you about 40%. Very, very, very expensive. Again, clear that and you've got a 0% debt to pay off. Yes, there will be a fee. The best one of these, there aren't many of them, is with MBNA, is offering up to 18 months. So again, you could get less, and the fee could be 2.99%. It could be 3.49%. It depends. If that one doesn't work for you, again, there is a soft check on that. There are a couple of others out there, but not a huge amount. But they're good ones for clearing those non-credit card debts, or at least helping you make them more affordable to pay them off. Right, next up, my favorite. This is why I use credit cards every time I make a purchase, because I know I can pay it off every month, the complete balance without any interest getting charged, are the cashback and reward credit cards. Now, talking about consumer ones here, I did write about this week business cashback credit cards. If you've got a small business, do check out that article. You might find something worth checking out there. But personal ones, the best ones as ever are American Express. The top one, if you are going to be a big spender, I think it works out if you're going to spend about 10 grand a year, which sounds like a lot of money, but if you do all your supermarket shopping, any travel, any bits and pieces on there, have a look at your statements. You'll work out how much you spend. Then that's actually relatively realistic for lots of people. Spend 10 grand in a year. The best one is the American Express Platinum Cashback Credit Card. As a new member, as long as you haven't had an American Express in your own name, not a supplementary card holder, in your own name for the last 2 years, you'll get 5% on that first 2.5 grand, worth up to 125 quid bonus. Then you'll get 1% up to 1.25% in cashback. Brilliant. As long as Amex is accepted, that is the best paying one now. If you think 10 grand's a bit optimistic, and I have written about the two cards and compared them, then there is the American Express Everyday Platinum Cashback card. Or it could be Platinum Everyday. I always get the order mixed up. That one has no fee at all. You still get that 5%, but only up to 2 grand of spend in those first 3 months, so £100 back. And then your cashback goes up to 1%. So you won't get as much, but it can even out. It's a pretty tight thing unless you're a big spender. They're the best two ones. There are other American Expresses, but I think go for those two. They're the best ones, and they will give you money into your account. It takes a year to get that money. You don't get it every single month, but well worth checking those out. Not everywhere takes American Express though, as we know, so you might want to look at a second card, a Visa or a MasterCard. Few to think about here. Depends where you shop really. I shop at Waitrose quite a lot. It's my local supermarket. I like it. So I've got a John Lewis and Partners card. That gives me 1.25% in Waitrose or John Lewis. Everywhere else though, 0.25%. Not fantastic, but you won't beat that. But that's just in John Lewis. If you shop at M&S, there's an equivalent one. Doesn't do as well for non-M&S spending, but pretty decent for M&S and some free vouchers. However, the big one right now, as I record this, is over at Amazon, the Platinum Amazon credit card. They will give you 0.25 at all these different non-Amazon retailers, but at Amazon you get much more. You get 0.75. If you've got Prime, it's double to 1.5%. So 1.5% back on all your Amazon Prime shopping. And normally you get a £10 voucher for applying. Right now that is boosted to £20 or £30 if you have Prime. I think that's tied in because Amazon Prime Day is taking place on the 13th and 14th of October. So it could be if you're watching this after that date, it's gone back to £10. But if you haven't, check it out. If you've got Prime, it's worth having that for all your Amazon shopping, even if you don't use it for anything else. Very quickly, there's a travel credit card as well that's worth looking at. This one is Barclaycard Rewards. Actually, it's not a bad generic non-American Express cashback one because it gives you 0.25% cashback anywhere you spend it. Okay, so at home or abroad, and there's no fees to use it at home or abroad. So you might want to add that one to your wallet as well as a kind of backup for places. Of course, if you've already got a Barclaycard though, you won't get that. So that's one to bear in mind. And finally, letting you know about a credit building credit card. Now this is if you don't really have much of a credit history, you aren't able to get any of those other cards. It's actually a good idea to have a credit card, which sounds a bit weird because it will improve your credit score, because if you spend a small amount every single month and then pay it off completely every single month, it shows the credit reference agencies that you're a responsible borrower. You can use these cards without going too crazy and getting into massive debt, as long as you're comfortable doing that. So a few to look at there, but again, Amazon has a classic credit card there, which does exactly the same thing. There's 3 months, 0% interest on that. Not a huge amount of time. I wouldn't worry about that too much. I'd use it just to sort of pay off, to get into habit of doing that, something you do on a regular basis. You also get an Amazon voucher. So there you go. Do check out the article on the blog, as I say, because that has links to all those cards that I've spoken about. Now, if you found this useful, I've got a couple of favors to ask you. One of them, hit the like button below this video. It really helps other people find this video within YouTube. It surfaces it to different people and different viewers, and I really would appreciate it. Also, if you don't want to miss out on any other videos, please do hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell that comes with it, and then you get all my other videos straight to you when they are released. Until next time, cheers. And here are a couple more videos you might find interesting.